Welcome to the news. Home Affairs Minister Stephen Kampyongo says it is up to the police to decide whether to summon UPND leader Hakainde Hichilema for questioning over the Kitwe riot. Vice President Inongo Wina says that the current xenophobic attacks targeted at Chinese nationals in Zambia are politically motivated. And the Health Professions Council of Zambia HPCZ has suspended 2 medical programs at the Copperbelt University CBU for failure to meet laid standards. And now the news in detail. Minister of Home Affairs Stephen Kampyongo says it is up to the police to decide whether to summon UPND leader Hakainde Hichilema for questioning for allegedly inciting the recent riots in Kitwe by claiming during a live radio program on Sun FM in Dola that Zafiko had been sold to the Chinese. In a ministerial statement, Mr. Kampyongo has told Parliament that it is not up to him as Minister of Home Affairs but the Zambia Police who are investigating the matter to determine whether to summon him and establish what transpired in Kitwe. Mr. Kampyongo adds that other persons involved in spreading false information about the sale of Zafiko through social media are yet to be identified. He has warned that the long arm of the law will catch up with them as spreading false information to alarm the country is a criminal offense. And Mr. Kampyongo says all the 102 suspects apprehended in connection with Monday's riot in Kitwe are still in police custody. Mr. Kampyongo says the 102, who include 8 males and 22 females, are detained at various police stations as investigations continue. He says that the suspected rioters will be interrogated before dockets are opened, after which they will be taken to court.
If one is a political player or is a leader of the nation, it's also important that we all operate within the confinements of the law and appreciating the principles of peace and national unity. So it doesn't exempt anyone, even we members of this August House, and exempted. We are not above the law. So when we break the laws are there for all of us. As to whether the particular individual is going to be arrested, that's not for me. I don't micromanage the Zambia Police Service. That's not for me. The Zambia Police Service who are investigating this matter will determine who they will need to interrogate, to query, in order to get to the bottom of what transpired. I did mention when I was making a statement, other people have spoken about Zafiko. And whether all these statements were leading to riots, that would be for the Zambia Police to determine. So like I said, I don't micromanage, I don't instruct the Inspector General of Police and his team on who to arrest and not to arrest. That's their job. And at the end of the day, they are not an end to themselves. They are just part of the judicial system. All those that have been arrested who are being held now will be interrogated and dockets will be processed so that they could be taken to the courts of law. So that's how it works.
UPND Presidential Advisor Douglas Siyakalima has described as utter stupidity allegations that party leader Hakainde Hichilema incited Kitwe residents to riot over the alleged sale of Zafiko. Mr. Siyakalima has wondered why Mr. Hichilema is being accused of inciting the riot when people in some other parts of the country had already been debating the issue of Zafiko being sold. In an interview with QTV News, Mr. Siyakalima says his party is aware that there was some disquiet on the issue of Zafiko being sold in Kapirimposhi and Kalulushi way before the riot in Kitwe erupted. Mr. Siyakalima, who is also Chiruntu Member of Parliament, says it cannot therefore be said that it was Mr. Hichilema that incited the said riot when he featured on one of the local radio stations in Ndola. He says that people suggesting otherwise are simply shallow-minded, as they have not realized that there was no connection with what Mr. Hichilema said on radio and what moved people to riot. Mr. Siyakalima states that he's advised to those who allegedly want Mr. Hichilema to be arrested over the Safiko riot is that they be worried that no one stays in power forever.
So we know what they have been scheming, but one thing that they must know is that, yes, they can have the police around themselves, they can have the army around themselves, they can have everything. Those are people's institutions. Even Kaunda, who was there for 27 years, he left the police. Kem Chiluba left the police. Kem Wanawasa left the police. Kem Rupia Banda left the police. Kem Sata left the police. Edgar Lungu leave the police. The police will exist, but they must never be abused. So we have known all these machinations. So can anybody account for the riotous behavior that was in Kaloloshi over the same Zafiko issue? Can one account for that? Can one account for that which was in Kapirimposh? So these are the details fishing around, trying to implicate a person who is an innocent person. Okay? And I have always stated this: oppressed people cannot live oppressed forever. Their yearn for freedom eventually ensues. So you cannot intimidate people because you have the police who have got guns and tear gas and whatever.
We get to Parliament news where Vice President Inongo Wina says the current xenophobic attacks targeted at Chinese nationals in Zambia are politically motivated. Mrs. Wina says the xenophobic attacks are as a result of public utterances political leaders are making to incite people against the Chinese. Speaking during the Vice President's question time in Parliament, Mrs. Wina alleged that the intention of this incitement is to ensure that investors do not bring their investments to Zambia. She states that this orchestrated campaign is also meant to discourage foreign direct investment to impact the country's economy. The Vice President says it is therefore people who do not mean well for the country who are in this case chasing away investment, especially investment from China. Mrs. Wina suspects that it is these same Zambians who are on the other hand investing heavily in foreign countries using offshore investments. The Vice President was responding to questions posed by Msanzala Member of Parliament Peter Daka and Leader of the Opposition Jack Mwimbo.
Many countries are inviting Chinese to come to their countries to invest in those countries. So, Mr. Speaker, it's only people who do not mean well for Zambia who are fighting so hard to chase away investment, especially Chinese investment. It's the same Zambians who are investing heavily in foreign lands using offshore transactions.
Yeah.
It's a pity that the poor Zambians would be made to suffer when there is no investment that comes into the country. It's the same Zambians who will not lose anything if Zambian resources are sold to the highest bidder. It's the same Zambians who want to surrender the sovereignty of their country. And these Zambians should be told, Zambians or whoever it is should be told that this agenda is not acceptable to the Zambian people. And Zambians will not go along with this type of leadership in the country.
The Health Professions Council of Zambia has ordered the Copperbelt University, CBU, to immediately stop offering 2 programs at its School of Medicine for failure to meet set standards in accordance with the Health Professions Act No. 24 of 2009 of the laws of Zambia. The HPCZ has withdrawn recognition and approval of Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery and the Bachelor of Dental Surgery after a recent compliance monitoring inspection inspections reviewed gross over-enrollment of students, an inadequate number of lecturers, engaging unregistered and unlicensed lecturers that are health practitioners, and failure to index students. In a statement, HPCZ Chief Executive Officer Dr. Aaron Munjajati says in the Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery programs, the university over-enrolled by 494 students, bringing the total number pursuing the program to 794 students. Dr. Munjajati says the lecturer-student ratios therefore exceeded the recommended 1:50 for theory for students in clinical years 3 to 5 and the practical ratios of 1:10 for students in both the foundation and clinical years. He adds that another major findings of the inspection is that there is the lack of lecturers in several courses, including psychology, histology, pathology, and body dysfunctions. Dr. Munjajati states that the situation is indicative of the fact that HPCZ cannot be assured of the safety of the public once exposed to the services of graduates in the Bachelor of Medicine and Surgery, and that it is clear that CBU currently has no capacity to offer these programs. Thus, the decision to withdraw the certificate of approval and the subsequent closure of the programs. Parliamentary Public Accounts Committee PAC Vice Chairperson Brenda Tambatamba has expressed hope that the new Public Finance Management Act No. 1 of 2008 will help reduce the number of irregularities reported in the Auditor General's report. Ms. Tambatamba says PAC will also continue to recommend to the Executive to invoke the provisions of the Act pertaining to the financial misconduct. Speaking at the Economics Association of Zambia EAZ public discussion on the importance of public accountability, Ms. Tambatamba notes that public accountability is important to a resource-constrained environment such as the one Zambia is experiencing. More in the following reports.
Financial irregularities reported in the Auditor General's report year in, year out have continued to be a source of concern among the general public. This has caused loss of trust in the manner government runs the economic affairs of the country, leading to the questioning of most of the decisions government makes on behalf of its people. It is against this background that the Economic Association of Zambia, EAZ, holds public forums such as this one to try and find solutions to this perpetual problem. But Civil Society for Poverty Reduction CSPR Executive Director Patrick Shindano believes this mistrust stems from lack of openness by government to the people that has put it to oversee their public resources.
But whether we agree or not, there's also this element of politicization in public accountability, which we also need to deal with. And it's a very alive thing and something that we need to confront head on, and I hope our leaders can be able to do that. It may be done consciously and unconsciously, but politics is also affecting the level of accountability. And you hear this even when you interact with colleagues. There are some that are maybe termed untouchable, and some that are targeted, and so on. All of that is true, but the system should be able to tackle that and take away the element of politicization and ensure that citizens are able to get that value for money. And this is why the openness, when you're talking about public accountability, the openness in the definition becomes critical. Then we are able to see what of clarity.
But for TIZ Executive Director Wesley Chwamba, the coining of the language to suit every form of financial misuse is the source of problems.
Just thought we should establish that, but since we're talking about public funds, I thought we should take a look at some of the common terms that we come across every year. Whenever a report is out, when you look at the summary, you always come across some of these terms. Misappropriation, which is, I think, a very fancy way of saying theft, but yeah, that's essentially what it is. Misapplication, of course, it's not the same as misappropriation. This is use of funds for other functions than they were intended. This is where people are not following what was provided for in the budget. They're spending funds on other programs. we have other interesting terms like wasteful expenditure. Essentially, this is spending money in a wasteful way where you are spending it on things that are not necessary when there are other competing interests. And then some of these terms are self-explanatory.
Meanwhile, Public Accounts Committee Vice Chairperson Brenda Tambatamba has praised the committee's continued efforts in ensuring that public resources are accounted for.
Again, I refer to many years ago, I went to an organization that said to me, as a grants manager, remember that even if you go away from us, even 15 years or 20 years later, we will fish you out if anything goes wrong with the people's finances. They told me, we will fish you out even 20 years from now. So it's not 20 years ago, actually. I'm still looking over my shoulder. So when they will come, I'm sure some of you know who is so strict over the resources that they grant you to manage or look after. So many times I remind my colleagues, I remind those who are in public positions and offices to think like that.
And the World Bank Finance and Governance Lead, Rama Krishnan, believes the strengthening of systems that ensure accountability is key in fighting the scourge.
The government is the agent, so there's a principal-agent relationship, and accountability adds to that as the way to enforce that relationship. Accountability also could be could contribute to the integrity of public governance. It is important for the performance of public management, especially when civil servants are expected to function according to rules, and there is someone who looks upon civil servants, whether it is the administrative hierarchy or the press or the parliamentary committees, to make sure that they satisfy those rules.
Indeed, for a country like Zambia that is struggling to put its economy in order, it is important that financial discipline is adhered to. However, this can only be achieved if people put its...
Health Minister Dr. Chitalu Chilufya has directed the Zambia Medicines Regulatory Authority ZAMRA to escalate inspections of both public and private pharmacies to ensure they dispense valid drugs. Dr. Chilufya says increased inspections of private and public pharmacies by ZAMRA will curtail the dispensing of expired drugs in the country. He adds that escalation of inspections of pharmacies will also help the ministry and government at large realize the vision of ensuring access to safe and efficacious drugs. The minister said this when he inspected the ongoing construction works on the new ZAMRA headquarters and National Medicines Quality Control Laboratory. Nakaonga attended the inspection and the tour and brought us this report.
Health Minister Dr. Chitalu Chilufya, accompanied by the European Union delegation, ZAMRA Director General, Ministry officials and other stakeholders, this morning inspected progress at the new ZAMRA headquarters and National Medicines Quality Control Laboratory. Located off the airport road, great east of Lusaka, the National Medicines Quality Control Laboratory is the first of its kind in the region, constructed to World Health Organization standards at a total cost of approximately 5.5 million euros. The new headquarters will assist ZAMRA to consolidate the various departments currently scattered in different physical locations into one building. The facility will greatly improve logistics and ZAMRA's efficiency of operations while providing space for additional needed staff. The new facility, that will also increase the number of samples that can be handled, is at 70% general completion and over 90% complete in structural terms, as explained by Clerk of Works consultant for the ZAMRA project, Moses Kapembwa.
We right now can't access the higher floors because there's so much work, so much rubble going on. We are cutting, and there is a development, so much development of rubble that it's a bit dangerous to access that area, so to say. So the works are generally at 70%. The structural works are almost at 100%, which is the difficult part, so to say. So we are actually progressing on the easy way this time.
European Union Head of Cooperation Gianluca Azzoni is optimistic that the project will be completed in the first quarter of 2019.
Here at ZAMRA, we are here to witness the progress that is being made, which is significant. So we are positive about the possibility to to complete the works in time. But there is no space for complacency, and We really need to speed up, keep up the progress, so the pace of progress, because it is important that the works are completed on time by the beginning of 2019.
And Health Minister used the occasion to direct ZAMRA to escalate inspection of both public and private pharmacies to ensure they dispense valid drugs.
I'll conclude by advising ZAMRA that inspection of pharmacies, inspections of drug outlets, inspection of warehouses for both public and private sector must be escalated to ensure that we do not have any facility dispensing expired drugs or any facility or any business entity dealing with counterfeit drugs or breaking any rules in the pharmaceutical industry. This is important for us to ensure we conform to minimum standards when it comes to supply chain, and also that we realize our vision to ensure access to safe and efficacious drugs. We want you to regulate the market in order to protect the public. Confidence in ZAMRA is rising with the activities that you're doing, and we commit to support you fully to ensure that you carry out that function completely.
WHO representative and ZAMRA Director General had this to say.
And we are committed to ensuring that whatever we do in our work as mandated by the Act, that we ensure that all medicines that are being made available to the Zambian public meet the required standards of quality, safety, and efficacy. So I really want to appreciate all of you, and also the support that we are getting from Ministry of Health. We cannot do it on our own, but Ministry of Health, sir, you've really been there for us to ensure that all the regulations and most of the things that we need are there for us to carry out our mandate. So be rest assured, sir, that my team are committed to ensuring that all the products and allied substances that are made available to the Zambian public meet the required standards.
It's an honor for us to be in this place because, as the Honorable Minister has pointed out, strengthening health systems is so important if we are to achieve universal health coverage. So one of the major pillars in the health system is making sure we have access to safe medicines and health technologies. By strengthening the regulatory function of the health system in terms of strengthening ZAMRA and making sure that we have safe medicines that are available to our population, will ensure that indeed we move towards our targets of achieving universal health coverage in this country. So on behalf of the cooperating partners, I just want to say thank you to the EU, one of the major cooperating partners.
Nakaonga reporting for QTV News in Lusaka.
The head of economics at the European Union in Zambia, Matteo Settori, says that there is still need to ensure that the mining sector in the country consistently contributes to the gross domestic product, GDP, and to revenue generation. Speaking at the close of the EU-funded mineral production monitoring support to the Ministry of Mines and Minerals Development, Mr. Settori says mining being a key sector to support economic growth, there is need to ensure that wealth generated by the mining sector has a positive impact beyond the mining companies. Mr. Settori says that this can be achieved if there is transparency and accountability in the management of mineral resources, further stating that this requires a strong capacity from the government to monitor and control mining activities and ensure accurate data collection and reporting. The EU has been conducting a 68 million kwacha 4 years project, which was designed to respond to challenges that the ministry has been having in strengthening its ability to effectively monitor mineral production in Zambia. Under the project, the AU has, among other things, allocated about 17.7 million kwacha for the refurbishment of essential services in the laboratories and the purchase of crucial pieces of equipment.
We are all very much aware that managing mineral resources is not an easy task. Many countries which are very rich in terms of resources face a number of challenges, in particular when it comes to ensure that positive economic spin-off are produced for their population, so to ensure that the wealth generated by the mining sector has positive impacts beyond the mining companies themselves. Transparency and accountability in the management of the mineral resources are also essential to ensure that mineral revenues are duly distributed and utilized. Achieving transparency and accountability in the mining sector requires a strong capacity from the government to monitoring mining activities and ensure the accuracy of data collection and reporting.
And the Minister of Mines and Minerals Development, Richard Musukwa, has thanked the European Union for the support. Mr. Musukwa has since called for the sustainability of the results achieved from the project. He says that the MPMSP should now continue to run as a continued exercise and not as a project.
We celebrate their achievement, in fact our achievement as a team, and all that it has brought not just to the Ministry of Mines but to government. As the project comes to an end, I'm delighted to say that my ministry has benefited massively from the implementation of this project. I'm sure I do not need to go through all the processes in terms of what the project has done, as evidenced by what you must have witnessed in the morning and several presentations from our colleagues that have spoken, Ian and myself. But I must mention that indeed this project is a project that the ministry has been proud to be associated with. For many years, one of the biggest challenges that the ministry has had was the capacity to ensure that we monitor production, processing, up to the export in terms of the mineral resources that our country is heavily indulged in. We celebrate.
Lusaka Province Minister Bowman Lusambo has urged the development of the University of Zambia Moore Graduate Property Limited to comply with the set boundaries and regulations in the construction of the mall. Mr. Lusambo says while government needs investment, it must be in accordance with the set laws and regulations. Mr. Lusambo says his office has received reports that the construction of the Unza Mall, which has created 1,000 jobs for locals and is expected to sit on 70,000 square meters pieces of land, has not been approved by the Lusaka City Council. The minister was speaking when he toured the construction site for the Unza Mall behind East Park Mall, being constructed under PPP between Unza and Graduate Properties Limited.
I know that there are some issues which have been addressed by the PPP committee, Committee of Ministers. My colleagues, they are sitting, and there are some issues which need to be sorted out. One of the issues is to do with this. I think I know that. The lease is 25, which is 50 years, according to the information which we are getting. So that one is being handled by the Committee of Ministers, the one not in the committee of the PPP committee. So, yeah, so for me and my team, the TC, our job is to see if we have complied with the local authority, the plans department. So the information which is coming now is that you have a lot of plans, you have good plans, but you haven't consolidated those plans. That's why you have a problem with the Lusaka City Council. So if you can consolidate your plans and submit to Lusaka City Council so that they can verify those plans, and if they are satisfied, they will give you the go-ahead. But then that's why they will say, no, you can't go on with this, because you have shown us the ideas, which are the things which you want to put up, but it's not yet at Lusaka City Council. I know that.
And UNZA Vice Chancellor Professor Luke Mumba says that the construction of UNZA Mall is a good thing to happen on the land that had been idle for a long time, as it will help raise revenue for running the university.
Really is to reduce our dependence on government coffers. And we are under a lot of pressure to do that, to generate our own revenue. And we think that through this public-private partnership with Grajua, we are on our way to achieving that. And this land was idle here, and what has happened here in our view is that it has added value to this land. Jobs have been created for Zambians, but also there's some revenue that is coming to the university. So with that in mind, I think that we'll resolve the issues of the boundary. Maybe they've come too close, but without really jeopardizing what is going on here. A number of issues have been raised by the public-private partnership unit in government, and we are addressing those issues in consultation with them. And I also want to add that this to me appears to be the best public-private partnership in this country. There's no any other example as this.
Meanwhile, Graduate Property Limited Chief Executive Diego Casili says his company was in conformity with the council's laid down procedure and stands ready to be corrected if it is erring in any way.
I can assure you that anything that is that we have done that may be incorrect, we'll address it. I promise you that. Sure. And we believe that we're creating jobs. I hope that we can put in the student canteens. I've said to the VC today, again, I even sent a team of UNZA people to South Africa. We want to build the hostels for the students. We've committed to that. But we wait on government to give us that authority. So until we have authority, we can't move. But the will to do the work is there. So we are ready to do what is required when you tell us that it can be done. And if you select us as your partners. So far we are grateful to be the partners of UNZA, to be honest with you. Doing a PPP is a very tricky business. It's not something I've done before, so mistakes can happen. Yeah.
Government says it is ready to reduce the price of fuel in the country if any investor is able to produce and supply the Zambian market with biodiesel. Minister of Energy Matthew Nkua says if any investor, for example, is capable of supplying 10% of the national annual demand of biodiesel, the price of diesel in the country can equally reduce by 10%. Mr. Nkua says that this in monetary terms would also mean government saving at least $100 million from the $1 billion that it is currently spending annually to import fuel in the country. In an interview with QTV News, Mr. Nkua says that the government is therefore encouraging investors to invest in the production and supply of biodiesel in the country. Mr. Nkua has urged would-be investors that his ministry is ready to facilitate all the necessary licensing. He says government is promoting investment in the production of biodiesel not only because it will reduce its fuel consumption bill, but also because farmers that produce feedstocks will equally benefit.
Will facilitate for them, will give them the necessary licenses and everything. And they invest. Government is not supposed to invest. We are trying to encourage the private sector. So if they invest, we can put up to 10% of the biofuel into the heat, or we can blend. And that means that if we do that, we shall reduce the fuel consumption bill by 10%. If we can put about 10%, we shall reduce by 10%, which is about $100 million a month per year, because we do $1 billion of the fuel in a year, so we can reduce the outflow of money. And in the process of doing that, the farmers will benefit, because if, say, they are using soybean, it means that we need many more farmers to grow that soybean so that they can sell the soybean, and that soybean will be used for biodiesel, and the biodiesel will also reduce our foreign exchange output. So as government, we are prepared to facilitate the people that want to come and make biodiesel.
The Rural Electrification Authority, REA Chief Executive Officer Pastor Geoffrey Msonda says access to electricity supply helps to foster development in any area. Speaking when he toured the Chavuma Electricity Connection Intensification Project in Chavuma District, Pastor Msonda says Chavuma has greatly developed following the connection of the area to the national grid. He says about 350,000 kwacha was spent on the project, that 45 houses have since benefited from the project. Pastor Msonda adds that as a result of the electricity connection, Chavuma Primary School is now able to take ICT and home economics lessons without challenges.
But in this particular case, from what we have been told, people are able to go and buy units at ZESCO and they are able to recharge, and then sustainably they are able to pay for the service. We are glad in that regard, because what we have realized, like the power that we gave to the school, we were there I think when the headmistress was also speaking, they are already using it for home economics, they are using it for ICT, and of course the other things I think that they can benefit from. So we are also glad from that aspect of the project, because we have noticed that the school is utilizing the power for which it was intended. Around the market, though there were no beneficiaries, we also know that because we provided that transformer, there have been a lot of clients that came on board and they have also connected to the same transformer that we provided. The only difference is, of course, they are about to pay connection fees, and ZESCO is in the process of dealing with that. Let me just continue also, maybe end on a very interesting note, to say that we have come up with a project, of course through funding that has come through the World Bank, in collaboration with ZESCO again. What our clients need to do in the rural areas is to pay 250 kwacha. They pay 250 kwacha, they will receive a connection. ZESCO will come and connect them. So I'm calling upon the people of Chavuma, especially those who didn't benefit, maybe they were not among the 45 houses. I think they have an opportunity this time around that all they need to do is to go to ZESCO, collect forms, pay 250, and ZESCO should be able to connect them. It's a thing that is going to happen countrywide. It is happening already even as we speak. We've had about 800 houses that have already been connected. So as the project takes root, particularly next year, we expect that these benefits shall be spread across the country, and then we have a target of 22,000 households that we need to connect before the project ends in the next. But in this
And Chavuma Primary School head teacher Matilda Levwembu says the school has greatly benefited from the works ARIA has done in Chavuma. She adds that pupils are now able to undertake subjects such as ICT and home economics without any challenges, as the case was when the school was not yet connected to any power supply.
They will be unable to benefit that surviving skills in future as they survive in the village. And from that time, we have also extended power inside, where it was incomplete with the few years that were left. Yes.
ICT?
For ICT, yes, we have the computers with us here, and we are able to also impart the knowledge on the computers. Yes.
That's interesting. But you are not, there's no teachers compound around.
There is no teachers compound around.
So you are living elsewhere?
I'm living elsewhere from Chireke.
So are you able to show us the place where you are living?
Yes, I'm able to. Yes.
Earlier, the RIA Chief Executive Officer paid a courtesy call on acting Chavuma District Commissioner Dr. Brian Chalilunda, who expressed happiness with what the Rural Electrification Authority is doing in Chavuma. Chief Bunda Bunda, the 10th of the Soli people of Rufunza district, has observed the need to promote girl-child education in the chiefdom, noting that the girl child is the cornerstone of sustainable development. Speaking when he received a donation of assorted foodstuffs from Support for Vulnerable Children and Active Leadership on behalf of about 121 beneficiaries, the traditional leader says he has acknowledged stakeholders working in his chiefdom as key in spearheading the noble agenda. He says development projects are the only way that can generate the much-needed resources to educate the girl child. The traditional leader has disclosed that he will soon come up with the Bunda Bunda Chiefdom trust account that will be used to educate the girl child. Favorite Kalanda was there and brought us this report.
This was the song that broke out when Support for Vulnerable Children and Active Leadership donated meal and clothes to the aged and parents of children with disabilities in Chief Bundabunda of the Soli Shamifwi people of Rufunsa district. Support for Vulnerable Children and Active Leadership is a non-governmental organization whose objective is addressing the plight of the underprivileged in the community, among others, thereby helping in reducing poverty. The villagers could not hide their excitement at the donation, which had obviously arrived at a convenient period. More than 120 people received their meal and other assorted clothes for children with disabilities they are caring for. Gracing the event, newly installed Chief Bundabunda of the Soli Shamifwi people of Rufunsa district applauded Suvuko for the wonderful gesture.
In fact, by offering these goods to my people, you are contributing to eradicating poverty among thousands of disadvantaged people. Especially the girl child, women, and children who receive these donations free of charge. I would like to express my sincere gratitude for this much appreciated gesture in favor of the well-being of my people in my chiefdom.
The traditional leader, who recognized the importance role investment plays in steering economic development and wants the business community to invest in his chiefdom. Chief Bundabunda is also concerned about girl child education.
I am inviting the business communities to come and invest in the chiefdom, as long as they adhere to the terms and conditions. This is why I am demanding for the investors coming in my chiefdom to avail their business profile, which should include how they will tackle the girl child welfare. It is for this reason that I want to come up with Bundabunda Chiefdom Trust account.
Speaking when he handed over the donation, organization founder Eugene Machona shares his organization's commitment in fighting poverty.
With the donation we brought here, I know it's not enough because they need their men around us. But with the little contribution we have made, we hope it will go a long way. And as Suvuko NGO, just like what we said from the beginning, we appeal to offer our support as far as developmental projects are concerned to the chiefdom of Chief Bundabunda and of course other chiefdom around.
And some of the recipients disclosed that their families would have been going hungry if it weren't for this donation.
Okay, fetiamikira zikomo potandiza ma ODG kati vametalandira pasikura lero koma titokoza kuti awe madaliso apitilire munga mwani mwatithandizira pasikura lero.
Awo tionga zikomo pankani athandiza mene mwachita bwanje mutikonga kuno kumunzi kwatu kuno mutiyanganapo nthawe ni nthawe mulungu azinkhala naye mu nthawe ni nthawe. Sure.
Favorite Kalando reporting for QTV News in Rufunsa district.
The European Union has given the Geological Survey Department a 17 million euros grant for the procurement of modern mineral testing equipment for its laboratories. Zanis reports that the grant also included equipping employees with adequate training on how to use the equipment. Speaking during a media tour of the laboratory in Lusaka, Geological Survey Department Director Mukofu Chipilayoka said the operations of the laboratory will now improve. Mr. Chipilayoka said one of the main functions of both the chemistry and the gemology laboratories is to analyze and evaluate mineral products before they are exported out of the country. He said the equipment will be used for analyzing samples collected by the officers of the Geological Survey Department and members of the public during regional mappings, explorations, and mining operations. Speaking earlier, Ministry of Finance and National Authorizing Office of the European Union, Alex Chikwese, said government is happy that the department now has a fully stocked laboratory. Mr. Chikwese said through the Metalurg laboratory, the department will be able to conduct test work to develop some processing techniques that will assist small miners.
We have to look at sustainability. We now have this equipment. We had also capacity building activities under this project. But the issue is, as this project is getting closer to the end, what is going to happen afterwards? We wouldn't like to go back to the situation in which we were. We would like this equipment to continue being useful. We would like the government to also look at the other capacity building areas to ensure that we put this equipment to the best use for the benefit of the people of Zambia. We have
Tourism and Arts Minister Charles Banda has noted the need for the tourism industry to have a human resource that has smart education qualification in order for the service provision to match with the current business trends. Dr. Banda says without quality education of human resource, service standards in the tourism and hospitality sector will plummet, thereby compromising Zambia's competitive advantage as a smart tourism destination. He says government is vigorously pursuing the new notion of doing business through the introduction and implementation of the Smart Zambia or e-government program, which the tourism sector has also embraced. Dr. Banda notes that the tourism industry is a fast-growing industry which needs people with quality education to transform it into a smart industry for the benefit of the country. The minister said this when he officiated at the 25th graduation ceremony of the Zambia Institute for Tourism and Hospitality Studies, ZIST, held under the theme Towards a Smart Zambia through Tourism and Hospitality Education.
The Zambian government, under the able leadership of His Excellency President Edgar Chagwa Lungu, is vigorously pursuing the new notion of doing government business through the introduction and implementation of the Smart Zambia program, the e-government. The tourism sector has embraced this reform by going smart in the manner business is managed in the industry. Innovative technologies and business models have revolutionized the hospitality and tourism industries. As a result of innovation, new types of customer experiences have emerged. However, this has brought a challenge for the hospitality and tourism industry regarding finding the optimal mix of digital and human interactions to create that personalized guest experience while respecting their privacy. It is for this reason that even the human resource in the industry should have quality smart education in order to match with the current business trends in the industry. May I take this opportunity, therefore, to remind the graduates that the field that you have entered is without doubt the world's fastest growing industry, and the use of digital ICT is at its climax. It therefore requires the human resource that can adapt to any changes that come along in the name of the improvement in the provision of value for money service. I'm sure you will be that kind of a worker. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, indeed, without quality education of our human resource, service standards in the tourism and hospitality sector will plummet, thereby compromising Zambia's competitive advantage as a smart tourism destination.
Speaking at the same event, ZES Executive Director Dr. Wilson Silongwe says that there is no better industry to invest in than the tourism industry in a quest for a smart Zambia, as tourism will not hurt the environment but protect and add value to it.
This year's graduation is themed towards a smart Zambia through tourism and hospitality education. Government in the recent past has interested us into conversations around smart Zambia. This may mean many things to many people, but to us it implies building a Zambia that is accountable to her resources, and a Zambia that takes into account the aspirations and needs of the future generations. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no better industry to invest in other than the tourism industry in a quest for a smart Zambia, because after all, tourism does not hurt the environment. Instead, tourism protects the environment and adds value to it. Guests of honor, distinguished invited guests, today we are celebrating a total of 106 candidates in the various sub-disciplines of tourism and hospitality. This is in fulfillment of our mission, which states to provide superior education which is responsive to the needs of the industry, of the tourism and hospitality industry. Our vision, guests of honor, is a leading tourism and hospitality academic institution in Southern Africa. Our vision transcends time. What we are doing today is laying a foundation stone for a better tomorrow for our offspring and their offspring.
Dr. Silongwe has since advised the 114 graduating students not to limit themselves to what they learned in the classrooms, but venture out and do something pragmatic so that they will add value to the tourism and hospitality industry and the country at large. And finally, in our news, the National Economic Advisory Council has announced the hosting of a biannual business conference series, with the inaugural conference scheduled for 29th November 2018. Announcing the development at a media briefing, Ministry of National Development Planning Permanent Secretary Mlenga Mshuma says that the conference series are a way of monitoring and evaluating the implementation of the strategic paper on industrialization and job creation under the 7th National Development Plan. Mr. Mshuma says that the conference will provide a forum for dialogue between decision makers, both in government and the private sector, in the implementation of the 7th National Development Plan and other national frameworks. He says that the hosting of the conference follows the realization that one of the best ways to accelerate industrialization and job creation is through constant dialogue between the private sector players and the government. And the National Economic Advisory Council Chief Executive Officer Webi Work says the conference will bring together senior policy makers in government and business executives to roundtable panel discussions. Mr. Wake says that the business conference series is also aimed at ensuring that the private sector is engaged in exports aimed at employment creation. The inaugural biannual business conference series will be sponsored by Zanaco and will be held under the theme Accelerating the Implementation of Industrial Diversification and Job Creation.
Received complaints from the private sector that there are requests for various policy interventions from government don't seem to be taken on board. And we realized also that it is important for government to have a forum where they would interact with the private sector in terms of getting their experiences being the players in the economy and what it is that they would want government to provide for them to enhance their operations. Because as the PS has put it, growth of the private sector is what is going to create jobs. It's growth of the private sector that is going to make the economy grow and generate resources that the government requires to invest in the various other social sectors like health, schools. And therefore this forum is specifically received.
Top stories in our news. Home Affairs Minister Stephen Kampyongo says it is up to the police to decide whether to summon UPND leader Hakainde Hichilema for questioning over the Kitwe riot. Vice President Inongawina says the current xenophobic attacks targeted at Chinese nationals in Zambia are politically motivated. And Health Professions Council of Zambia, HPCZ, has suspended 2 medical programs at the Copperbelt University, CBU, for failure to meet set standards. Thank you so much for your time. Until next time, it's bye-bye.